Hi, well, I'm Estelle. Just over 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with open-angle glaucoma with central vision loss in my right eye, and this is my story. I'd possibly had glaucoma already for 3 years when I was diagnosed, as I had a noticeable blind spot in my right eye, very similar to John, which unfortunately wasn't picked up by my optometrist at my 2-yearly checkup. I'd been to get new glasses, and after having problems with them, I noticed that a central part of my computer screen, because I'm working, looked a very blank grey when I closed my left eye. I googled glaucoma and it said it was peripheral vision loss, so I didn't think it was. And I didn't do anything for a little while. My daughter pushed me to get it checked. This is her. And 18 months later, I got a different optometrist and she referred me to a specialist. And she confirmed it was. For about 4 years I was on eye drops, and when the pressures started to creep up, my eyes were lasered. I don't know if you've all had that, anyone had that done, which kept the pressures down for another year. But sadly the pressures kept rising. Just over 4 years ago I had my first trabeculectomy, and it took me 6 months just to learn how to say that word, followed by the second one 6 months later, and all went really well for about 3 years. I enjoyed not having to do eye drops night and morning, and I was doing 5 a day and having no side effects. Although I did miss the long eyelashes, but I didn't miss the bloodshot eyes and the big dark circles around my eyes. Sadly, the pressure in my left eye started to creep up again, and last year in March I had another procedure to bring it down. I didn't drive after the procedure, and I was waiting till I passed the vision test. And things were looking really good, but I couldn't quite pass. I remember trying so hard. At my next check, the pressure had fallen a little more, and over a period of time it kept falling, which is opposite to what a lot of people had, and the vision kept getting worse. When the pressure got to about 5, I struggled to read anything written, anything printed, and it was harder to see the computer screen. Because my right eye can't see in the middle, I needed my left eye to see clearly to read. A friend gave me a brochure for Naomi, who's here today, of low vision services, and I made an appointment to see her. It really helped. Not only did she show me vision aids, she also knew what I was experiencing, which I found amazing. Maybe from not her own personal experience, but from everyone that goes to see her. She showed me a simple thing like writing on a piece of white paper rather than coloured paper with a black liquid pen, not a blue ballpoint pen. What a difference that made. I could actually read it. I hadn't tried writing anything for ages. I left her office with magnifying glasses, desk size, purse size, and a pair that popped over my glasses. I actually got to use them quite a lot for about 3 months while I was working, and I must admit I looked like a mad scientist at work. This is them here, and they pop over your glasses, so you can imagine what I look like. The purse-sized magnifier was great. It had a built-in light, and it was great for reading menus when I went out for dinner. My pressure continued to drop. Must have been a bit of stress from my doctor. And my vision became very blurry. My eye was a bit like a balloon going down. If you can imagine that, it becomes all wrinkly. Well, that's what was happening to my eye. It was becoming wrinkly. Working became quite difficult. I'm an accountant, but I still managed to get my job done. I don't know how. A little late, and in the end I could only see 3 numbers at a time. And numbers don't mean anything, not on their own like words. Most words have more than 3 letters, so I struggled to read anything written, even enlarged to very huge on my computer screen. This had become an issue at work, and they needed to hire someone to actually replace me to do my job, and that was hard for me after nearly 29 years in the same job. But I agreed. And I knew it was going to take a little while for me to train somebody, and I was getting closer to retirement, so I needed to pass on my knowledge. So I thought I'd pass on some of the issues I had, which are very similar to John's. The things I struggled with, and the things you take for granted when you can see. For example, changes in levels of footpaths, curbs and steps. Thankfully, I never fell. I still have some issues with steps as I have limited 3D, so I make allowances like I hold a handrail. And the money machines, well, that was a bit of a surprise. I hadn't thought about it until I actually got to the machine. My friends and family were great. My grandson would warn me of steps, and so would my friends. And of course I wasn't driving, but I was very fortunate to have friends and family to help. My daughter and grandson live on the same property, and I had a friend who drove me to work every day for about 7 months. She lives close by and works just around the corner from my work, which was especially great. When you drive to work, it's about 45 minutes on a good day. And a funny story, well, I have a large property, and one day I decided I should try the weed eating, as I could tell it needed doing, and that was an achievement, just that I could actually see it, so it must have been bad. It was hilarious. I didn't get far, and I did wear my eye protection, and I didn't try it again, as I left holes in the ground and some patches where I missed altogether, so it was a bit of a disaster. I had to laugh. There wasn't any point in crying about that. So during these months, my doctor tried several things to help, including steroids, where I became superwoman, but there was still not enough improvement. So in September last year, she decided to operate and rebuild the part of my left eye where I had the trabeculectomy. She even used a small amount of donated white of the eye, and the great news was that immediately after, I started to see again. The pressure came up, and after a couple of weeks, my vision had improved. It kept getting better and better to where a few months later, I could actually drive again. Then in January, I got new long-distance glasses, and that was like the cherry on the top. The biggest thing for me as my vision came back was that I could see people's eyes again, because the blind spot covered that part, so I couldn't see their eyes. Plus I could see my garden, although there were a lot more weeds than I thought. And there was 2 advantages. I thought I'd tell you about the 2 advantages of not seeing well. The first one is I couldn't see my wrinkles. That was great. I did get a bit of a surprise when I saw myself in the mirror for the first time, though, 8 months later. And the other advantage is your house always looks really clean. My daughter just recently had her eyes checked, as the pressure was 19 to 20, so I did a mild panic. But she got a clean bill of health with no glaucoma, and her eyes are that of a 20-year-old. And so encourage your family members to get checked. I am so far the only one in my family with glaucoma, but they're all aware of it and they all get their eyes checked. I have income replacement insurance, and I knew that if I needed to, I could use it, but I'd rather have my sight than actually not have to work. So I'm working still. In the last 10 years, I've only lost permanently 3% of my vision in my left eye and nothing more in my right eye, which I think is an amazing achievement for my doctor with my history. So I'm not sure what my future will be with glaucoma, but I know I shouldn't take my vision for granted, and I thank God every day that I can still see.